The Vexari scout ship pierced Earth's atmosphere like a dying star, trailing plasma in desperation. Commander Zixal fought the controls as gravitational forces he'd underestimated tore through the vessel's stabilizers. The planet below had been marked as primitive in the galactic survey, barely worth a footnote, pre-industrial, harmless. The ship carved a burning scar across the Nevada desert before embedding itself in a canyon wall. Zixal's 3 hearts hammered against his exoskeleton as emergency systems wailed their final protests. Through the cracked viewport, he watched primitive vehicles approach, wheeled transports belching combustion exhaust. So the survey was accurate after all. Then he saw the helicopters. The medical bay smelled of antiseptic and something else. Coffee, though Zixal wouldn't learn that word for another week. The humans had extracted him from the wreckage with surprising efficiency, their physicians working around his anatomy with improvised brilliance. They'd even synthesized a compatible blood substitute within hours. Commander Zixal, the human called General Morrison, stood beside his bed, arms crossed. You're recovering well. Our doctors say you'll be mobile soon. Zixal's translator chip processed the language, a derivative of Indo-European root structures, primitive but functional. You have my gratitude, General. I expected different treatment. Morrison's mouth curved upward. Zixal had learned this meant amusement, not aggression. We're not savages, Commander, though I imagine your databases suggested otherwise. Over the following weeks, Zixal learned the depth of that understatement. The facility they kept him in was called Area 51, a designation that made the human scientists laugh for reasons he didn't understand. They treated him not as a prisoner, but as a guest. More disturbing, they treated him as an equal. Dr. Sarah Chen became his primary contact, a physicist who spoke of quantum mechanics and relativistic physics with casual expertise. She showed him their space telescopes, their particle accelerators, their nascent quantum computers. We've been watching the stars for a long time, she said one evening, pulling up images of distant galaxies. We know we're not alone. We've been waiting. Waiting? Zixal's mandibles clicked in confusion. Your species has barely achieved chemical rocketry. According to our surveys, you've only just split the atom. Sarah's expression darkened. Your surveys are 70 years out of date, Commander. We've been busy. She took him to a hangar. Inside sat a spacecraft that made Zixal's 3 hearts skip in unison. It was crude, yes, but it was functional. Chemical rockets augmented by ion drives, primitive AI systems, life support that could sustain a crew for years. We call it the Endeavor, Sarah said. We were planning to launch our first crewed mission to Alpha Centauri next year. Slow boat would take about 40 years. But we were going. Zixal stared. The Vexari had taken 3,000 years to progress from their first satellite to interstellar capability. Humans had done it in less than a century. How? He whispered. Sarah smiled that strange human smile. We're good at solving problems, especially when we're told something is impossible. The revelation that broke Zixal came in the medical wing. Dr. Patel showed him their genome research, their CRISPR technology, their neural interfaces. Humans were rewriting their own biology, augmenting their brains with silicon, discussing consciousness as casually as others discussed weather. We're a young species, Patel explained, adjusting his glasses. We know that, but we're also adaptable. We evolved on a death world, Commander. Everything here wants to kill everything else. We learned to be creative just to survive. Death world. The classification hit Zixal like a plasma bolt. Earth wasn't marked as primitive. It was marked as uninhabitable by galactic standards. Tectonic instability, extreme weather, viral and bacterial load that would devastate most known species, predators that hunted in packs. Humans hadn't just survived Earth, they'd thrived. Your weapons, Zixal said suddenly. Show me your weapons. General Morrison hesitated, then nodded. The arsenal was terrifying, not because of the nuclear weapons. Those were expected from an atomic civilization. No, what froze Zixal's ichor was everything else. Railguns that could punch through starship hulls. Directed energy weapons, bioweapons that could be tailored to specific genetic markers. Nanomachines that could disassemble matter at the molecular level. And they developed all of it while fighting each other. We've been at war for most of our history, Morrison admitted. With ourselves, with nature, with reality itself. It's made us dangerous, but it's also made us innovative. Zixal thought of the Galactic Council, Peaceful species that had evolved on garden worlds. Species that took 10,000 years to perfect fusion drives. Species that had never known true predation, true scarcity, true desperation. You need to leave, he said suddenly. You need to repair my ship. I need to warn the council. Sarah frowned. Warn them? Commander, we're not hostile. We'd welcome contact. That's exactly why I need to warn them. Zixal interrupted. The council has protocols for uplifting primitive species. Gentle integration over centuries. But you're not primitive, you're compressed. You've achieved in decades what should take millennia, and you did it alone, fighting each other and your own planet every step of the way. He turned to Morrison. General, what would humanity do if someone threatened Earth? Morrison's expression hardened. We'd fight, with everything we have. Exactly. Zixal's voice was barely audible, and you have so very much compressed into such a small time frame. The council doesn't understand what you are. They'll see chemical rockets and assume you're babies. They'll try to manage you, control you, guide your development. And? Sarah asked. And humans don't like being told what to do, Zixal said. I've read your history. I've seen what happens when you feel threatened or constrained. You innovate. You adapt. You overcome. The council's well-meaning restrictions would feel like chains to you. He looked at each of them. Within a generation, you'd be building weapons we can't imagine. Within 2, you'd be reshaping the galaxy. Not out of malice, out of sheer momentum. Because that's what you do, you push. You never stop pushing. The room fell silent. So what do you suggest? Morrison finally asked. Zixal's mandibles spread in what he hoped approximated a human smile. I suggest we tell the council the truth. That Earth isn't a primitive world waiting for uplift. It's a death world that spawned an apex species. That humanity isn't asking for permission to join the galactic community. You're informing us of your arrival. Sarah laughed, a sound like crystal breaking. You make us sound terrifying. Dr. Chen, Zixal said gently, you split the atom and within decades had harnessed it for power and destruction. You mapped your own genome and immediately began rewriting it. You looked at the stars and decided to reach them with primitive chemistry and mathematics. Yes, you're terrifying, but you're also magnificent. He gestured to the window where Earth turned in the black. The galaxy has been waiting for someone like you. We just didn't know it. We've been stagnant for so long, comfortable in our garden worlds and ancient protocols. You're going to change everything. Morrison extended his hand, a gesture Zixal had learned meant respect, agreement, partnership. Then we'd better get started, Commander. Help us prepare. Help us make first contact the right way. Zixal grasped the hand with his manipulator appendage. For both our sakes, General, I hope the Council is ready for humanity. As he looked at the 3 humans, soldier, scientist, healer, Zixal felt something he'd never experienced before. Not fear, though there was that. Not awe, though that too was present. Hope. The galaxy was about to meet Earth, and nothing would ever be the same.